Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Okay, now we'll start the unit 4, which is titled as leaching. Okay, now your comfort zone has been already over. So, until first 1 to 3 units, it was very easy until the distillation column. Now, somewhat difficulty will increase in the leaching, and then somewhat more difficulty will increase in extraction. Next unit, unit 5. Okay, I would like to request you just to listen carefully this unit also, so that you would not face any difficulty, because the graphical solution for this problem is little bit complicated compared to the earlier one. And in the extraction, the graphical problems, there you have to see three coordinate system. So I request you to do not miss any classes. If you miss one class in between the you will face many problems, because we have to handle the two graphs at a time in this unit, and in the next unit we have to handle a ternary graphs. Okay, triangular graphs we have to handle. So I request you to please come every day, just listen the classes. So this chapter is titled as a leaching. So what is leaching? Okay, if you see here the figures, this one, the tea preparation. Okay, the tea preparation is the best example which we prepare in our households daily. So it's a best example for the leaching process. If you see here, the solids which are written on this screen, okay, which are written on this screen is nothing but a inert solid, okay, which are not soluble solids. Okay, inside the solids, inside these solids, or not this, in the raw material tea powder, there may be some soluble substance will be there, that is called as a solute. So these solids, whatever not soluble, is called as a inert. So the leftover solids are called as a inert, and the solids which are soluble inside that inerts is called as a solute. So when we are preparing tea using some water, hot water, something, so that soluble matter, whatever the soluble matter, solute matter is there, will be dissolving inside this liquid. So whether we are using hot water, in this hot water or a milk, that soluble matter is dissolving. So that is called as a leachate, or coming, whichever the solid which is coming out. And the solids which are retained here is not at all useful. So it's a waste solids, or a tea powder. After preparing that tea, we will throw this one. So that's a waste tea powder. So the best example for the leaching is this one. So nothing but removal of a soluble constituent from a from a material is called as a leaching. Is the definition for the leaching. So if you see many examples, we can say like vegetable oil preparation. We have seen in the CT2 vegetable oil preparation. How do we prepare the vegetable oil? So oil is already present in the nuts, in the ground nuts, or in soybean oil, in soybeans, or everything, in every nut, every seed, in every seed the oil is present, which is a solute constituent. So that solute from the seed we have to extract that one. So using some suitable solvent like hexane, we have extracted some petroleum cut fractions of solvents. These solvents are used to extract the oil from the seeds. So in that one, the oil is nothing but a solute, whereas the cake which retained after separating the oil from the seeds, that seeds insoluble cake is called as a waste product. So we will give that to the animal feeds, okay, like this. So in that one, here in the example of oil is the example of extraction of oil from the seeds. Oil is a soluble matter, we can say that as a solute, and whereas the inert matter is there, the left out inert solids which are nothing but cake is called as a that inert matter. Then here, the after preparation of tea, whatever the soluble nutrients which are present inside the tea powder, which we are collecting in the inside this water, that is called as a tea, that is a solute. Whereas this insoluble solids is called as a inert solids, okay, which are not at all soluble in any type of solvent. So this is the leaching process in which the soluble constituents of the solid is solubilizing using some suitable solvent. Then the inerts are left behind. So that there are many industrial equipments are there, like the packed beds, like fixed beds, moving beds. Okay, everything will be there. That beds, percolation tanks, or Hindelburg reactor. Okay, that type of equipments are used industrially. Okay, this is a domestic examples, how we can extract the oil, or how we can extract the tea powder, what's the leaching example. But whereas industrially, big equipments like a packet towers, moving bed towers, percolation columns, Hindelbrand extractors, like these equipments will be involved there. Then the contents involved in this leaching unit is, first one is the industrial applications. What are the industrial applications? We have seen the applications like oil extraction and a tea preparation or a coffee preparation from this one, from the domestic examples. Whereas industrially, this leaching operation will have many examples. Like we can say as a domestic application, like coffee powder preparation. How do we prepare a coffee powder? Earlier in the good olden days, they used to prepare a coffee using the coffee nuts. Okay, coffee beans are there. By just grounding that coffee nuts, they used to prepare a coffee and throw that solids outside. So that was also a leaching process. Now, using industrial leaching process, we already that coffee, whatever the solute is there in the coffee beans will be removed, and using the spray dryer, the coffee powder has been prepared now. Now all the coffee preparation process, the instant coffee powder. There is no inert solids in this one. All this coffee powder now we are getting is an instant coffee powder, meaning that just we are dissolving in some milk or hot water, then we are drinking directly. We are not at all separating inert solids, because there is no inert solids in nowadays available. Whatever the coffee powder is available, that is instant coffee, we will say, because already in the industrial setup they already separated the inert material from the coffee beans, and the soluble material they already separated. These two constituents, inert material and soluble material, they both separated. Now the solid material they already thrown during the industrial operation, whereas this solubilizing material, solute material, they extracted using a suitable solvent, and they that suitable extractant has been once again produced as a powder in a spray dryer. Then that powder is given as a coffee powder. Nowadays we are available as a instant coffee, but olden days there was a filter coffee. Okay, why they called as a filter coffee? Because in that filter coffee they are prepared with beans. Okay, just by grounding the beans, they will prepare using some solvent, that all the solute component which is present in that coffee beans will be extracted by that milk or water. Okay, whatever the seeds, whatever the inert material is left, inert solids are left, will be separated out through the filtration. So because of that, they used to call that as a filter coffee. Now everybody is getting the instant coffee now, because in the industrial setup itself they have prepared the coffee in such a way that there is no inert material present in that one. Only the solute material is there. Just by dissolving in milk or water, we are just drinking. We can able to drink that coffee. So the industrial applications like coffee preparation or a tea is also similar way. The instant teas they used to prepare that one. Okay, then we can see the green tea. Okay, everything will comes under these examples. Then oil extraction, industrial big setups are there for the oil extraction. Okay, other examples are this leaching of ores, mining. During mining, many ores are leached to leach the copper, uranium, or some gold mines. In gold mines, the coal mines, coppers, uranium. This is a major operation, leaching of soluble component, leaching of the metals from its ores. Is extraction of metal from its ores is called as a leaching. Why we are calling this as a leaching? But we are referring as extraction of oil from the seeds and extraction of metal from its ore. Why we are referring this as a leaching operation? Because leaching separate definition is given, because this operation is a solid to liquid operation. Okay, solid is there. The mine, in the mines some ore will be there. It is also a solid material. And coffee bean, it is also a solid material. Then this oil seeds, this also is solid material. From the solids, the mass transfer is taking place from the solids to the solvent, which is liquid. Mass transfer is taking place from the solids to liquid. Because of this, we are referring this as a leaching operation. But usually in the normal terminology, we will refer to as oil extraction or metal extraction. Like this, we used to refer. But as per the scientific definition or a technical definition, this is called a leaching. But what is extraction? Okay, extraction is nothing but leaching. Liquid extraction is called as a extraction, true extraction, that is. So as per the definition, liquid to liquid operation is called as extraction, whereas solid to liquid operation is called as a leaching. Okay, but usual common sense we will refer to as both as a extraction, but the terminology is for solid to liquid operation it is called as a leaching, whereas liquid to liquid operation it is called as a extraction. So this extraction you will see in the next unit, unit 5. whereas this unit is entirely concerned about solid to liquid operation. This is titled as a leaching. Then industrial application like oil extraction or this ore mining, ore leaching, uh, then this one tea preparation, coffee preparation, everything industrial applications. We have to see some of the examples for the industrial applications. Then types of leaching. Okay, the types of leaching. The solid materials can range from the coarse, big coarse, big coarse particles to the small fine particles. So because of this, there are many equipments are available to handle these solids depending on their sizes. So because of this, there are heap leaching or in situ or in place leaching. This in situ or in place leaching and heap leaching, they are for the coarser particles. Whenever some ore is coming from the mines, there will be a large big lumps will be there. So from that one, we need to extract some metal. Means how we can do some that will be handled by two types of leaching, which are called as a leaching, heap leaching or in situ or in place leaching it is called, because at the point of mine only we will just leach out some of the useful metal from the mines. So because of that, for handling a coarser particle, big lumps, there are two operations. One is in situ or in place operation, and other one is a heap leaching. So types of leaching. So in this type of leaching, you will have among the in situ or in place leaching and heap leaching, you will have for your syllabus only heap leaching you will have. Then next one is next, when you reduce that mine's size, you will get an intermediate particle size. To handle intermediate particle size, we have a percolation tank. Percolation tank in open vessel, percolation tank in the closed vessels. Okay, if the solvent is a highly volatile solvent, then we have to use a closed vessel. If solvent is not at all a highly volatile, then we can use a normal open vessel. So open vessel means open percolation tank to handle the intermediate size particles, whereas this heap leaching is to handle the big size particles, big coarser particles or lumps. So this heap leaching is used, whereas intermediate size particle leaching, the percolation tanks will be used. Then next comes, if you further reduce the size of that particles, you will get a fine particles. To handle these fine particles, we have many extractor like Boltzmann extractor, Hildebrand extractor, everything we will have. So we have to see, you might have seen in the mechanical unit operation, wet grinding. So grinding, leaching during grinding, this is also one type of operation. While drying in a wet condition, so wet condition is in the wet grinding, as you seen in the mechanical unit operation. In that one, we are supplying some water in order to balance the heat. Okay, in order to safeguard the heat balance inside that ball mill. So we are giving a wet grinding. So some external liquid we are supplying in order to get a heat balance. But here the wet grinding, during the wet grinding, a proper solvent will be applied, so that during that wet grinding process, the component which we used to extract, like a metal, whether it may be a metal, whether it may be a coffee or everything, we can extract by using a suitable solvent. So that is called as a leaching during grinding, to handle the fine particles, to handle the leaching using the fine particles. The leaching during grinding process will be used. So three types of equipments are there. One type of leaching which handles the coarser particles, big lumps, which is called as a in situ or in place leaching and heap leaching. Then intermediate size particles leaching. When the solid particles are very intermediate size, the leaching operation, the equipment which used for this operation is called as a percolation tanks or a fixed bed or moving bed reactor, moving bed columns. Then for handling the very fine particles, we have a another set of reactors like Boltzmann extractor, Hildebrand extractor, leaching during grinding, dispersive particle leaching, everything we will have. So we have to see, depending on whatever the size of the particles, we have to use the different types of leaching equipment. So if you see the leaching equipment, so stationary solid bed means fixed bed type extract this one. Then moving bed type, bed type means fluidized bed extract this one. Then Boltzmann extractor, like a continuous extractors, Hildebrand extractors we have to see according to your syllabus. Then dispersed means entirely, when a solvent is entirely dispersed inside that solid, it is called as a dispersed solid leaching. Okay, whereas on the counterpart, we will have a spray leaching. Okay, spray type of leaching, only solvent will be sprayed on the solids and the solution we will collect. But here the solvent will be entirely dissolving inside the solids will be dissolving entirely in the solids. Then the solution will be extracted and further subjected to the further separation. The next topic is the principle of continuous countercurrent leaching. So, what are the principles involved in the continuous countercurrent leaching? Before this one, first we have to see what is the single stage leaching. So, single stage leaching, when we see connection of different stages, is nothing but a countercurrent or continuous cross current leaching. So, when you see the single stage leaching, then the principles of continuous countercurrent or continuous cross current manner, that single stages, n number of stages can be arranged. We have to see that. Then ideal stage and equilibrium in leaching. What is the ideal stage in leaching? Like we have seen ideal stages in the distillation column. So what is ideal stage? Ideal stage is nothing but the stage which gives a composition which works up to the composition which provides the equilibrium between here the solid and liquid phases are there. Equilibrium between this solid and liquid phase could be established only in the ideal stage. But according to industrial setup, there may be non-ideal stages also, or actual stages we can say. So what is the definition of ideal stage? How the equilibrium in leaching will reach? What is the equilibrium graph in the leaching? In between what and what we have to draw, we have to see in the ideal stages and equilibrium calculation. In this also you have to evaluate number of stages. Then operating line equation. How the operating line equation? Many operating lines we have seen in the distillation, like a enriching section operating line, stepping section operating line, feed line. Then these three types of lines we have seen in the distillation column. But here a single operating line you will see during the derivations. Then constant underflow and variable underflow. When your solids content is constant, so that will be called as a constant underflow. Your constituents is constant in the solid, inert solid, that it will be called as a constant underflow. When it is varying, then it is called as a variable underflow. So we will see how to handle that type of problems, constant underflow and variable underflow problems. Then number of ideal stages for constant underflow and variable underflow. So first we will see the definitions of constant and variable underflow. Then we will use that definitions of constant and variable underflow definition. Then we will use to calculate number of stages using the graphical procedure. So this was the topics entirely, the contents in your unit 4. Then what is leaching? As I just described you, what is leaching? Leaching is nothing but a process of separation of soluble constituent of a solid material using a suitable solvent. That's what a simple definition for the leaching. Okay, then what is this soluble constituent? What is insoluble constituents? So we have to differentiate it in between them. So usually in the leaching operation, the soluble material which is solubilizing in that solvent is a target product. Okay, like tea. So whatever the soluble constituent is there, which is getting dissolved in the solvent like hot water or in milk. So that is a product. The tea is our product. So usually in the leaching operation, the target product is a soluble constituent, whereas the inert solid is a waste product or a byproduct we can say. This tea powder left after extracting a tea, which is called as a inert solid, or we can call it as a solid waste, or it is a byproduct. Okay. There is other definition for the leaching also. In the first example, the liquid, the soluble constituent, nothing but a tea, which is called as a tea, is called as a product. Okay, which require target product. Whereas the after extracting the tea, the solids which are left is called as a inert solids or a solid waste. The example for this one is tea itself, one of the example, and another example is this one, oil seeds. From the oil seeds, inside these seeds there are oils. For example, from the sunflower seeds, sunflower oil will be there. Groundnut seeds, groundnut oil will be there. That oil is a soluble constituent in the solvent. Then the target product here is a liquid, that is a soluble constituent, which is the oil here, and the byproduct or a waste solid is a cake, which is extracted after from these seeds, which is called as a inert solid. So we will feed that to the some animals, animals as a feed to that animals. So that is called as a inert solid. So one type of definition in which these two examples will apply. One is a tea preparation. Tea solids will be the inert, which is a waste product, and here the solid cake is a waste product, whereas the soluble constituent oil, and here the tea is a product, required product. So this was the two examples for the first case, and other definition is also there. The leaching operation is the same. But in this one, the solids are the main product, whereas the soluble constituent is the off product or a byproduct or a waste product. How it is off product or byproduct or waste product, we'll see. So in some cases, the undesirable soluble material are removed from the solid by using a suitable solvent. Then the extracted solid is the product. So in some cases, the extracted solid is a product. So here the extracted, whatever the solids are there, these two solids are the undesirable product for us. We will throw them, we will feed to the animals. But here in this case, the solids are the main product, whereas the soluble constituent in the solvent, which is a byproduct or a waste product. So for example, if you see the defatted soya flour, so soya beans are rich in protein, we know that. So rich in protein, so to extract the protein powder from this soya bean oil, this soya beans will contain some of the non-protein solids will be there, some what we call some sugar components will be there. So to separate that, to prepare a 100% pure protein powder, like a whey powder, whey powder, which is used by the bodybuilders in the gymnasium, etc. So that powder, how do we prepare that powder? By extracting whatever the soluble constituent, like a sugar constituent, some carbohydrates will be extracted from here. So after extracting, whatever the solids are left, which is a soy protein, okay, soy protein. Nowadays, commercially they are selling as a whey powder, whey powder. That is a protein powder, protein rich powder. So that protein, during the extraction of that protein rich powder or a protein powder, the whatever the soluble constituents are there, like sugars or some non-soluble, non-protein protein soluble components will be removed. So that will be solubilized in a solvent, that will be thrown out. Whereas the powder, which we are saying as a inert powder, which is not at all soluble in any type of solvent, that is called as a whey powder or a protein powder. So in this case, the solid is a main product, whereas soluble constituent is a byproduct. In this case, the solid is a waste product or a byproduct, whereas the soluble constituent like oil and tea is a main product. So this is the definitions of leaching. I hope you understood this one. Any doubts? Shall I move?
Continue, sir.
Understood.
Yeah. Okay. Then mechanism. Okay. To extract a oil from the seeds or to extract a tea from the tea seeds. So what is the mechanism is going on? We have to study that one. What type of mechanism that is? If you consider this as a one-stage leaching, a single-stage leaching operation, single stage of tea preparation. If you see this one in the feed solids, feed is a solid because solid to liquid operation is called as a leaching. So solid to liquid only we will concentrate here. So solids which we are containing like a tea powder or here the oil seeds, everything is a solid. When we are giving as a feed, inside that solid, what are the two constituents which are present? One is a soluble solute will be present, soluble constituent which we called as a solute. Okay. Then inert solid, which is not at all soluble in a solvent, which is called as a inert solid. Okay. These two constituents will be present in the feed. Okay, then what is the role of leaching here? The role of leaching is to use some suitable solvent. Okay, here in the tea preparation, the suitable solvent is a water, or in sometimes we will use pure milk. So milk is a suitable solvent. In oil preparation, the hexane is the suitable solvent, or some benzene components, some petroleum cuts we will use. That is a suitable solvent in extracting the oil. Depending on what type of constituent we want, that suitable solvent we will use. Then what is the role of this solvent? When we just create an intimate contact between this solid and this solvent, then what mechanism it is happening means this solute will be there, whatever the soluble constituent will be just mixing out with this solvent. Okay, then this solvent plus this solute will be coming as the overflow, or we can say if you just reverse this diagram, so for the convenience I'm defining like that, this is a overflow or a raffinate. Sometimes it is called as a raffinate, sometimes it is called as a overflow, and sometimes it is just referred to as a solution. So according to this solution, this is a solvent rich phase because large part of solvent which is taking this solute and coming to the bottom, then this is called as a overflow or raffinate or solution simply. But only two constituents will be present here, solute from this feed and solvent from this top. Then two constituents come here, solute plus solvent. Then what about this inerts? So this inerts will be left behind. Then that stream is called as a extract stream or underflow stream. Sometimes it is called as a leached solid streams. So in this leached solid streams, solvent will be very less. Because of this, we are calling this as a solvent lean phase. Whereas in the product stream, it is solvent rich phase. Maximum amount of solvent will be present in the overflow, whereas minimum, very minute amount of solvent will be present in the extract phase or underflow or a leached solid phase. So in this one, purely according to the mechanism of leaching, it is supposed to be only inert solid, but according to our practical industrial processes or practical laboratory setup, some part of the solute will be present here, some part of the solvent will go here, because it's the actual process. We cannot control this one. But according to the ideal mechanism, the liquid, the solvent which is there, it should just dissolve this solute and comes in the overflow. And the inert solids which are there, which will be left behind. There are only two streams, two input streams for the leaching operation. One is the solvent stream and other one is a feed solid stream. Then the operation takes place is the solvent which we are supplying as a separate stream, it solubilizes the soluble constituent of the feed and gets into the overflow or a raffinate or a solution, that will be called as a solvent rich phase. Whereas the insoluble constituent of a solid which comes in the extract phase or which is called as a underflow or a leached solid phase, which will contains very less amount of a solvent, so it is called as a solvent lean phase, or the constituent, main constituent in the solvent lean phase is a inert solids. So this is the mechanism which is going to happen clearly. Okay, I hope this is also clear for everybody.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Then what are the steps? Okay, we have seen now the overall picture. We have seen what is going on inside one. Now what are the steps involved? So first, to solubilize the whatever the constituents there inside that solid material, there are popularly four steps will be there. Before that, these solids we have to pre-treat, like we have to break them, we have to grind them. Okay, it's another step, it's a mechanical operation. But here in the leaching operation, popularly there are four steps. One is we have to create a intimate contact between the solid feed and the solvent. So in between this one, solvent and solid, this feed solid, we have to create a intimate contact. Then only mass transfer will take place. So to create a intimate contact, we have to use some suitable equipment, like a percolation tank, like a heap leaching, like a in situ or in place leaching, like a agitated vessel, or like a Hildebrand extractor, or a Bolman extractor, or a Kennedy extractor. Various, there are n number of extractors are there, depending on what type of operation, that is unsteady state, steady state, or it's a continuous or a batch wise operation. We will have to supply some equipment so that it will create some intimate contact between this feed solid and a solvent. So first step would be intimate contact between solid feed and with the solvent. Then the next step is separation of a solution or extract from the exhausted solids. So whatever the separation is there, if you see, that equipment is capable, that equipment will be capable of separating this extract and raffinate place or a underflow. Popularly, extract and raffinate place, they are referred in the leaching operation. This one's extraction operation in the unit 5. Okay, whereas in the leaching operation, it is popular to use this terminology, underflow and overflow. Okay, not extract and raffinate, but for the convenience in the next unit, I just give a same terminology, extract and raffinate here. But here you please remember this one, underflow is the solvent lean phase and overflow is the solvent rich phase. This is very important. Okay, then this is solution, this is overflow. I have accidentally given that one. So that is overflow. So first step in the leaching operation is they should create a suitable equipment we should install so that it will create some intimate contact between two streams, like a solid feed stream and a solvent stream. Then that suitable equipment needs to be capable of separating out the two constituent, two streams, like a extract stream or a raffinate stream, or a overflow or a underflow. In two streams, it needs to be separated. The exhausted solids or a yes, separation of a solution from the exhausted solids. Yes. This is overflow. Then it needs to be separated overflow and underflow. Then the next step is separation of the solvent. Separation of a solvent, the extracted solid, if any, from the extract, followed by purification of the product. So this is not a pure operation, pure purification operation, because if you see the distillation column, what happens in the distillation column? It's a final operation in the purification operation, because after extracting a distillate from the distillation operation, we need not to subject that to further purification. The distillate further we need not to subject the distillate to further purification, because almost a pure product is obtained in the distillation column. But here if you see the distillation or extraction operation, these are the secondary operation, not a primary purification operation. Why? Because it is a secondary operation. When you extract this solution phase or a overflow, further we have to subject some distillation or some extraction mechanism, so that we have to separate this solvent once again and solute whatever we require. The product is solute here, but this solvent needs to be just separated out from this solute. Because of this, we are calling this as a secondary purification process. Okay, leaching, extraction, these operations are called as a secondary purification process, whereas distillation, drying, these are called as a primary purification operations. Because when you receive the product from the distillation and when you receive the product from the drying operation, the almost it's a pure product. Okay, we can directly commercialize that product. But after leaching or after extraction, the product which we obtained is a contaminated phase. Here the contaminant is a solvent. Now the next task is to separate the solvent from this solute. Our product is only solute, not solvent. This solvent is, once again we have to separate that. If possible, we have to recycle back. So that's a secondary operation BD. So here solvents needs to be just separated out from the extracted phase. Then it should be subjected to do so. It should be subjected to some purification process, like distillation or some drying, some freezing operation to remove the solvent. Like we have to apply some external operation once again. So the first operation is to provide an intimate contact between the solid and solvent phase. Then second operation is it should be able to separate out the solution. Then the solution needs to be subjected to further purification to separate out the solvent. Then recovery of the solvent from the moist solid by squeezing, pressing or drying to get a dry cake. So whatever the solvent which are going inside this one, also we need to squeeze out to recover the solvent. Whatever the solvent coming out here, we need to purify this solute and separate out this solvent. So last two steps are separation of the solvents. So the equipment which can perform all these four steps is called as a leaching equipment. Then only it will be called as a leaching equipment. So these are the steps which are going to take place in the leaching operation. So I hope this is also clear for everybody. So then next one is a decoction. Yeah, thank you. Then next one is a decoction. Okay, there are many terminologies are there. People may confuse with different types of definitions and different types of terminology. Okay, to clarify that, what is decoction? Okay, decoction we know from the household purposes. We used to call decoction in our households to prepare a tea before we add a milk. That is called as decoction. Decoction in our household terminology. But its technical name is a decoction. Okay, decoction. What is a decoction? When you use the solvent is there. Whatever this solvent is there, if this solvent is used at its boiling point, okay, for example, if we are using the water to extract a tea, so that water is water boiling point, we know 100 degrees centigrade. When we use the solvent at that boiling point of that water, T is equal to 100 degrees centigrade, then that process is called as a decoction. If the solvent is below the boiling point, then that operation is called as a leaching. So the difference between decoction and this leaching is, when we use a solvent at its boiling point, the operation is called as the leaching operation is called as a decoction. When you use our solvent at any temperature, that operation is called as a leaching operation. So this decoction will have a many applications in the Ayurveda. Okay, Ayurveda, during herbals, extracting some of the what we call this kashayam, something you will say in Telugu. So to extract that that medicinal value containing solutions, So herbal products can be derived using this decoction method. The solvent will be used at its boiling point. Then using some roots like we say that ashwagandha, bringaraj, everything we can extract using this type of methodology, decoction methodology. Okay, we will use the solvent at its boiling point. Then that is called as a decoction. Then dissolution. What is dissolution? Okay, how it is different from the leaching process we have to see. So dissolution is nothing but here if you see in the leaching, so this solid, the soluble matter will be there inside the seed. So here also in the tea powder, the soluble matter, the tea will be inside that solids. Okay, whereas in the dissolution process, the solid matter will be present. What we say that? No, no. Solution is nothing but when all the solids is solubilizing in the solvent, it is called as a dissolution process. Okay, like for example salt, when we are dissolving the salt in some water, salt is entirely dissolved in the water like a sugar solution. Sugar is entirely dissolvable in the solvent, so that is also a solid to liquid operation. But how it is different from leaching? It is not called as a leaching. Why? Because there is
No
for the
byproduct.
leach, yeah, no byproduct, no solids, so in no inert solids. Because of that, we are not calling this as a leaching process. So this is called as a dissolution process or solution preparation process. So like salt preparation, salt solution, sugar solution. Okay, then the next process is a elutriation or elution we will call. So what is this elutriation or elution? That's what I am referring. So if you see this one in the solids, in this tea powder, the tea will be present in the interstices of the solid. Okay, then here also in the seeds, when you break down, we can't see that soluble matter or a oil we can't see. When you press only from the interstices of the solid, from the internal structure of the solid, the oil will be extracted. From the oil will be coming out. Okay, the solute will be present in the interstices of the solid. Whereas when you want to perform the elutriation operation, when your solids contain the soluble matter outside the surface of the solid, surface of the insoluble solid, then the extraction of that solute component is called as a elutriation or elution. So this one is elutriation or elution process. Okay, these have many applications in the size classification or a mineral production industries. Okay, mineral processing plants classify the size like a micro, macro, mini, like these sizes depending on that mineral sizes to classify that one. So this elutriation process or elution process will be used. And one more example is to sample out the myofena. So myofena is nothing but the microorganisms which are whose size are in between microfauna and macrofauna. So to separate out this from the grains, freshwater, if you have a freshwater pond, this microfauna or mesofauna or macrofauna, these are the microorganisms which are present in the fresh water. So to extract that microorganisms from the fresh water, along with that sand from the freshwater pond, we will just give to some elutriation process. So that microorganisms will be attached to the sand particles. So inert sand particles are obviously inert. So that fresh water will be incorporated into that equipment, elutriation equipment. Then what happens? The microorganisms which are attached to that solid material which will be dislodged. Okay, will be coming out according to their sizes. This myofena will be catch. That myofena will have many applications in the aquaculture or something. Okay, so this was the processes which we have to differentiate. All these process will looks like a similar one, but the definition is very much different because of inerts, because of byproduct, because of solute content is present inside or solute content is present outside of the surface. Depending on that, this entire processes, many processes are there. So this is also clear. Yeah. Next one. Okay. Next is what are the industrial applications of leaching? In the definition itself, we have seen many examples that are nothing but industrial applications. So for the convenience, I just summarize what are the industrial applications. Like if you see metallurgical industries, so these metallurgical industries, ore processing industries will have many applications because the metal, the useful metal like a copper or a gold or a nickel which will be present in a very minute quantities in their ore. To separate that one, we want a leaching process. So leaching process, it's a very useful process in the metallurgical industry and ore processing industry. Like for example, the examples of this applications in the metallurgical industry is leaching of ores, oxides, carbonates, sulfides. Okay, whatever the ores are there, from this one, the oxides or sulfates or the carbonates will be extracted. So that is called as a hydrometallurgy. Very important step. Leaching is a very important step in the hydrometallurgy. Then leaching of copper mineral. So copper minerals will be there. That copper minerals can be leached using sulfuric acid or a ammonical solution. Using that solutions as a solvent, we can leach out the coppers, because copper is very present in very minute quantities in their ores. Then leaching of gold. Gold is also present in very minute quantities in their ores. So because of that, using the sodium cyanide solution, we will extract the gold from the mines itself. So that is also a leaching operation. Then leaching of nickel ore from its low grade ore, nickel laterite, using sulfuric acid at 250 degrees centigrade and 650 pounds per square inch pressure, in which cobalt is a byproduct. So while extracting the nickel using the sulfuric acid, cobalt also we will get as a byproduct. So minerals can be, lot of minerals can be extracted in the metallurgical and oil ore processing industries using certain techniques like heap leaching or in situ or in place leaching, percolation tanks. Every equipments can be used to process the metal from their mineral ores. Then natural product industries. We know natural product industries. In that one, the best example is the oil extraction. So oil can be extracted from its seeds. So main product will be oil. So it's the industrial application in the natural product industry. Then sugar. How do we extract a sugar from the sugar beets? So whenever we are having a sugar canes, it will be cut into the small pieces. From that one, we have to extract the soluble constituent, which is called as a sugar. So using the hot water only, we'll just extract, and it will be sent to the saturator, or after that we will send to the crystallization unit. So in the crystallizers, it will be that solid, that constituent, soluble constituent will be converted into a small crystals that we are calling as a this one sugar. So that is also a popular example. And tannin from the very tree barks, many tree barks, we can extract this tannin. This tannin will have many uses like gum. Many when you just scratch some tree, it will release some gum. Okay, that gum we will prepare some gaur materials, some resins we will prepare, okay, from that material. So all the tannins can also be prepared using the tree barks by the leaching process only. So these are three popular examples from the natural product industries. Then in the pharmaceutical industries, the more particularly in the Ayurveda industry, the leaching process is very much helpful in the preparation of ashwagandha from the ashwagandha leaves, and in the preparation of roots, bringaraja from its roots. So this will have a applications in the Ayurveda, especially in the Ayurveda. Pharmaceutical industries also use this leaching operation. Then tea and coffee preparation. As I already said, this coffee preparation. Earlier days we used to have a filter coffee. In this filter coffee, we directly prepare the coffee from the coffee beans, and we used to filter the inert materials out. Nowadays also tea is preparing like this only in the in our homes. Okay, but coffee we have advanced in terms of coffee we have advanced to more extent. Like we have instant coffee. That instant coffee will be prepared in the industrial setup only. That coffee will be extracted. The soluble matter will be extracted from that one, and it will be subject to a spray drying. Then that will be soluble constituent will be just converted to the powder. That powder we are just mixing in milk or water and drinking as a coffee, instant coffee that is. And that is also a popular application. Then chemical industries. Okay, lot of chemical industries in the alkali industries, they will use this leaching process in the soda ash preparation process or something. This one, the caustic soda, from the caustic soda liquor, the calcium carbonate will be washed out. So before sending to the soda ash and lime reaction, whatever the carbonates are there, it will be freed of the caustic soda. How it will be freed? So just washing it with the caustic soda, that carbonates will be freed off. That will be precipitated. Calcium carbonates will be precipitated. So these are the popular applications for the leaching. Okay, the applications of leaching they are asking in the long answer questions. Okay, this is about leaching. Then the next one is the factors influencing rate of leaching. So now we have seen what are the what is the leaching process, what is the mechanism, how it is going on, what are their applications, okay, different types of industries, how they are using. But what are the factors which will influence the leaching rate, okay, which will influence the productivity of this leaching operation? So first one among those is the physical characteristics of a solvent. So what are these physical characteristics? So physical characteristics like a solid, we this leaching operation is nothing but solid to liquid operation. We have to prepare our solids before sending to the leaching operation, like size reduction. Okay, for example, size we have to reduce depending on what type of constituents, how that soluble matter is present, whether that soluble matter is present very deeply inside. Then if the soluble matter is present very deeply inside, we have to convert it to a fine powder. Okay, when that soluble constituent is not that inside that seed or inside that solid, we can just handle that solids using some coarse material. Depending on that preliminary experiments, we will decide that preparation of a solids for the leaching process. So depending on that availability of the soluble constituents, we will just go for deep grinding or for a fine grinding or a coarser grinding. Then we will decide that that particular material is suitable for the leaching process through the fine grinding fine equipment, fine leaching operation equipment or a coarse leaching operation equipment. Depending on that only, we will take the decision. So main physical characteristics of the solid is the size of that particular one. So leaching process, when you reduce the size, the leaching will be very much improved. So we can reduce to the fine grinding. So you can ask that why can't we reduce to the fine grinding? Okay, when you do the fine grinding, the probability that leaching operation will be very high, leaching rate will be very high, but the time required for the grinding and the cost required for the grinding will be very much increased. In some processes, it is not much advantageous to go for the fine grinding because it will increase the rate of leaching, but it will add the cost to the leaching process, overall process. So we can't go to that much fine grinding. And at the same time, while operating this leaching process in some suitable equipment, like a fixed bed, like in a packed bed, so handling that small particles is very difficult. Pressure drop will be very high on the packed bed. Okay, that fluidized bed, the pressure drop will be very high. So reduction in pressure drop, it is not at all advantageous for the operation of this fluidized bed or a packed bed. You might have studied this in fluid mechanics course. So because of these disadvantages, we can't go that much deep into the fine grinding. So obviously the rate of leaching will be increased as far as the fine grinding is concerned. But the cost they will increase, but handling will be very difficult. The fine powders, there may be a tendency to escape that particles. So we have to install some electrostatic precipitators to catch that particles once again. So all these issues will be involved. Because these issues, we have to consider some optimum size of the particles. So depending on the different particles, like some the particles are some animal origin, some plant origin also, we have to take into consideration. Well, some animal origin, we have seen this one during the electrolysis process, when that some microorganisms will be inside the grain. So to break that one, to bring that microorganisms inside to outside, we can't break that one. We have to suitably extract that one. So in that case, the type of solid will also play a major role. Okay, whether that solid is a heat sensitive material. So what we can do, we have to lower the solvent temperature. Whether that solid is a reactive with some of the constituents of solid is a reactive with our solvent. So we have to take all these factors into consideration. Though the reaction will increase the leaching rate, but the desirable soluble constituent we call extract by the reaction. So leaching is usually considered without reaction. The next one factor which is influencing is solvent. So what is the role of solvent here? Role of solvent is very much high in the leaching process, because solvent only can handle the can solubilize that solute constituent from the solid. Then what are the properties of solvent which are detriment to the leaching process? Like solvent should offer a high solubility to the solute. So it should offer a high solubility to the solute. Then only it will be capable of dissolving large amount of solute from the solid. Then it should be of low viscosity. Because why? Because the low viscosity, because pumping cost will be increased with high viscosity. Therefore, we need to have a low viscosity solids, low viscosity solvent. Then the lower boiling point. So why it's a lower boiling point? So the when the boiling point is very high, the separation after leaching out the solute material, the solution needs to be subjected to further purification. Most probably it will be subject to the distillation column. When it is a very high boiling point solvent, the separation of this solute from the solvent will be very difficult. So it should be of low boiling point. Okay, not that much low boiling point that it will cause a hindrance to the leaching process. If that much low boiling point is there, low boiling point is nothing but high relative volatility. High relative volatility means that during the leaching operation, the solvent itself will be vaporized. So the optimum boiling point needs to be there. So the boiling point of the operation of this leaching will be defined by the solvent temperature. If the solvent will have a boiling point of 100, the operation needs to be carried out below that 100 degrees centigrade only to lower the evaporation loss of solvent. Then it should be non-toxic, because whenever there is evaporation losses, it will be going to the, it will cause a environmental pollution. So to stop that one, the solvent needs to be non-toxic, and to lower the cost of leaching operation, the solvent should be cheaply available. So these are the solvent properties, and next one is a temperature. So obviously, if you see the temperature of the leaching, how much the temperature of the leaching is very high, the leaching rate will be very much high. So we can keep a temperature very high. You can ask that, can we keep a temperature very high? Not that much high, because the increasing the temperature will obviously increase the rate of leaching, but it will also have a evaporation loss if the solvent is very low boiling point. So upper limit for the operating temperature of this leaching operation is the boiling point of that solvent. If the boiling point of the solvent is 100 degrees centigrade, so above 100 degrees centigrade, the leaching operation we can't go. Though the leaching operation, the temperature, higher temperatures are very much advantageous for the leaching operations. We can't go above 100 degrees centigrade because all the solvent will be vaporized. So to stop that one, the temperature should be high, but the maximum temperature limit for the leaching operation is its boiling point of the solvent. Then agitation. So intense agitation is very much needed. When you provide a agitation for this solid and solvent, the mass transfer will be very high. Though the soluble, there is a much possibility that the soluble constituents from the interstices of the solid will be just solubilizing, will be coming out and solubilizing in a solvent. So agitation is as much as high possible is needed. But what is the upper limit for this agitation? The cost of agitation, the power required for the agitation, the operation of that solid. If during the agitation, if some solids are reducing in size by the attrition, okay, there is a probability that solvent and solids are mixing, the size of the solid will be reduced because of the attrition between the solid and attrition between the walls of the solid and this walls of the extractor and solids. So there may be a possibility that it will create some attrition between the solid particles and solid and equipment solid. So because of this attrition, there is a probability that the size of the solid will be lowered. So there is a probability that the solids will be converted to a more number of points. To stop that one, we have to evaluate the optimum agitation speed. So obviously for the leaching operation, agitation is very much desired, very much required. So these are the major properties which are influencing the leaching operation. Okay, any doubts in this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay, this is what today, only 5 minutes, 4 minutes are there. Okay, we will see tomorrow the classification of equipments. How many types of equipments are there based on the temperature, time dependency, or a contact pattern? There are number of equipments. We will try to discuss all these equipments. Okay, out of this one, only the characters which I have given in the bold letters only. According to that one only, you are they are there in the your syllabus. Okay, you have to study only this only, which are in a bold letters. Okay, then we will see what is different types of operation, in situ operation, depending on this classification. We will see the each and every equipment in detail. And after completing this each and every equipment, we will go to solve the material balance around the leaching operation. Then problems will be. So this is about a deep about the leaching operation. If you have any doubts, just contact me, or if not, just I will conclude this one. Yes, anybody?